Hey guys, it's me. I'm back and it's summer. I'm putting up this video on summer anyway. So it is the 1st of May. It is May Day. If you follow the wheel of the year, it is Beltane. However you want to refer to it, it is the start of summer for a lot of different cultures throughout the world. And for many of us, that doesn't really mean much, except we can start looking forward to swimming and barbecues and kids being off of school and asking us way too many questions for 6 to 8 weeks. But really, there was a time where this was one of the most important days of the year, and for certain cultures, it is still that way. Keep in mind, I'm mostly talking about the Northern Hemisphere. Obviously, in the Southern Hemisphere, it's a little bit different, but let's just roll with that Northern Hemisphere vibe, shall we? Beltane, as I previously called it, is the start of summer, according to the Wheel of the Year, according to paganism, and it celebrates a few things. Actually, it celebrates about 3 main things here. The first being that May 1st was supposedly the day that the entire Irish pantheon made their way to the Emerald Isle. They supposedly showed up hovering in this dark mist, and they even burned the boats behind them. So they were there to stay. And if it's one thing that we have learned that all deities like, it's dramatics. Beltane is also supposed to be the day where the winter hag, also known as the Cailleach, and Brigid, the goddess of spring and fire, finally conclude their battle. And in so doing, they are able to start summer. And the unfortunate Cailleach winds up having to throw her staff down under a holly tree and become encased in stone until fall, when she can come out and make things cold again. So essentially, this entire time that we have been going through spring, that has been the battle between the Cailleach and Brigid. And finally, probably my favorite, is the fact that Beltane is only one of 2 days the entire year where the veil between the human world and the world of magic, or the world of spirits, or the world of fairies, whichever you want to call it, is at its thinnest. The other day is Samhain, or Halloween. And during this time, usually the maypole dancing and the putting out of milk and gifts for fairies was not to draw them in, but to keep them the hell away, because apparently these glorified mosquitoes with shoplifting problems would come and find you if you didn't, and they would steal your children, they would steal your livestock, they would steal your shoes, they would steal your PlayStation 5, your boyfriend, maybe your virginity. You don't really know. They just weren't really nice. So in order to keep them out your house, you wanted to make sure that you did the right thing by giving them offerings to keep them away until the veil closed again. Take that as you will. Maybe put out some milk. That's all I'm saying. And before we get to the rest of the rituals for the summer, just wanted to point out that according to my analytics, 95% of you are watching and not following. So if you're really, really liking what you're seeing here, please make sure that you subscribe, that you like, that you comment. It helps people find me, and I love finding my people. And if you're here, hopefully you are my people. So let's hang out together some more. Like and subscribe. Okay. Moving on. Maybe the Celtic stuff was too cutesy for you. You're like, I'm looking for something a little bit of the darker variety. Well, I've got that for you. We'd be talking then instead about the ancient Aztecs. So basically, they would celebrate this festival called the Toxcatl Festival, which was in the name of, and I'm going to read this name because it's really long and I'm not going to remember it, Tezcatlipoca. He was their god of darkness, sorcery, and the night sky. And what would happen is, usually a year before this festival, a random poor schlub would be chosen as the festival's Ixitla, which is the basically living embodiment of the god. And for that year, he would have the best year of his life. He'd get great food, wear the best clothes, basically get anything he asked for, multiple wives, lovely little flower flutes. He got to have a great time. Then, exactly a year from when he was chosen, the Ixitla would be sacrificed. And I might be playing that down a little, so let me back up. Not only would he be sacrificed, but he would be told to wear the skin of the guy who did it last year. And then he would have to walk up this temple. And while he was walking up the steps of the temple, he would be breaking the flutes that he had been given over the last year. And then he would be sacrificed. And it wasn't just like a neat little, bloodless sacrifice. It was very bloody. It was very messy. It was definitely not something that any of us would aspire to. And side tangent, but how much of a 180 is that? Like, is there anybody who's had more of a left turn in their day than whoever the Ojibwe was? Like, you've just had such a great time. You're like, this is the best year ever. And then it's like, not only are you about to have a bad day, you're about to have like the worst day. And you're going to be wearing the skin of the guy who had the worst day last year. Definitely not my chosen way of celebrating this summer, but still a really fascinating way of looking at how the Aztecs used to welcome the season. In fact, the reason that they welcomed the season this way did have a reason to them. And that was basically that nothing good comes for free. That if you wanted to have a good summer, if you wanted to have a good growing season, you had to pay for it. And that was how you did so. That doesn't change the fact that that was still really kind of a rug pull from up under the poor guy's feet, and it's enough to give me trust issues by proxy. So lastly, while I could go on and on and on about different summer rituals, because there are just a ton of them out there, we're going to just talk about the North American Indigenous peoples for a bit, because there were tons of different rituals from tribe to tribe, and all of them were welcoming the summer in a very hopeful and happy way. Because when you think about it, these were people who really depended strongly on agriculture. And because of that, they needed a great growing season. So this was their time to ask the gods, to ask nature to bless them with clear skies, with sunshine, with lots of animals running around and enjoying the summer, to make sure that they were able to feed and grow and keep themselves going until fall and winter. So I will say that rituals did vary quite a bit. Quite a few of the tribes out there did have corn growing ceremonies, where essentially they would bless the seeds that they were about to plant, and they would do so in the hopes that they would imbue these seeds with enough love and support that they would grow big and strong and that things would go very well. But you also had tribes in the Pacific Northwest who did canoeing rituals, where they actually focused more on reconnecting with the water. And admittedly, during summer, when you're hot and also when your plants need to grow, what do you need more of? Water. So totally and completely makes sense on that note. Even more so, the Lakota and Plains tribes would do sun dances, which would be a big tribe-wide affair. Usually people would be dancing to welcome the newness of the sun and to request that it stay out as much as possible. Keep in mind, they still wanted rain, right? But like, you got to imagine that after a long winter and sometimes even a very rainy, muddy fall, that the sun was very welcome and needed. So this was definitely, for them, a time to welcome that part of the weather back into their lives. And before I finish up here, I wanted to share a really sweet story that the Ojibwe people have about where summer comes from. Basically, supposedly, the world started out in eternal winter. Essentially, there was a god named Ga Bibuniken who was the bringer of winter. That was what his name meant. And so the entire world was just consistently in winter. And there is a hunter named Ojig who got really sick of shivering all the time and wanted some warmth. So he gathered a bunch of his animal pals, including beaver, otter, and lynx, and he said, we are going to run an Ocean's 11 on the sky world, and we are going to steal ourselves some sun. And they're successful. They actually make their way to the sky world, and Ojig is able to rip the sky world open and pour summer onto the earth. Unfortunately, he does not live through the endeavor, but the creator is so taken by his selflessness and his sacrifice that he winds up turning Ojig into the Big Dipper. And so anytime you see the Big Dipper in the sky, that is your way of knowing that he's still up there. And anytime that summer starts, you have Ojig to thank for that. And, you know, whenever there's a clear sky, which is common in summer, it is common to thank Ojig. So thanks, Ojig. So those are just a few ways that the world is celebrating summer. And that doesn't mean that that's how you got to do it. But the point is, this is a very beautiful time to kind of enjoy the fact that the world changes, that nothing stays the same. And this is also, according to the Wheel of the Year, a time where many believe that the earth is at its most energetic and its most joyful. So I'm hoping that that is what's going on for you. That is my wish for you. And let's hopefully have an amazing summer out there. So that's all you got from me. Please, if you haven't liked or subscribed yet, do so, comment. It helps people find me. Like I said, if you want to support the channel, I've got a Patreon. You can support the channel for as little as $3 a month, but you can also join a little bit of a higher tier where you get a chance to read short stories that I'm writing. Right now, I'm in the midst of writing some really funny, really fun, purposely bad romance and erotica, so it's a good time, it's hilarious. Yeah, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram. Come hang out with me when I'm not on YouTube. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourself. Have an amazing summer, and I will see you in the next one.